So starting off with question 1 here. From our week 5 lecture, we learned that personal branding is steps or actions taken by a person in order to make themselves more well known within a certain market or industry. It can be looked at and compared to product development and promotion, as usually we see a person trying to develop themselves, which would be like developing a product, as well as people trying to promote themselves within a market, which is the same thing you do for a product, is try and promote it within the certain market that it's in. Personal branding is used for people entering a new market or transitioning within the current market that they're already in. People will often intentionally shape how others around them perceive themselves professionally. So from the lecture slide on how to build your own personal brand, along with some examples, there can be many different aspects that we can look at during the building process. Some examples include knowing what you are good at and who you are. For example, what are your personal strengths? What are you passionate about? Any potential goals for the future, and so on. Getting feedback from peers and friends on what you are good at, need to improve on, because sometimes you cannot tell what your personal strengths are and what you need to work on. So it's good to sort of get like a secondhand opinion from others. For example, this could be like asking former teachers, professors, co-workers, bosses, or even sport coaches what they think you're good at and what they think you can work on. Also, when you have other people confirming your strengths, it gives you a sort of like credibility and makes yourself more reliable, because it's not just saying it, you have other people confirming your strengths. So looking at accomplishments is also another example, because accomplishments help prove your skills and values, because they're not just a way of showing what you can do, it's what you've already done. One more aspect to building your personal brand, which I think is most important, is knowing your target audience. Know who you're trying to present yourself to and what they're looking for specifically from you. So for question 2, as we learned in lecture 4, resumes and cover letters can be compared to a data report. We learned that you can think of resumes as the data and the cover letters as the data report. As the point of a data report is to explain the data, your cover letter explains your resume. So a little more explanation on this concept. Your resume has things about yourself just like a set of data does. For example, previous jobs, skills, interests, and other little facts will all be found on your resume. This can show your employers sort of what you have done before. Now looking at cover letters, it gives more context and it explains your resume. Now you're actually telling your employers the context and the reasoning behind what you have done and shown already on your resume. And it's the exact same thing that a data report does to a data set. Data report is there to report on the set and explain the set. So for question 3, from what I've learned so far in this course, these are 6 of the ways I feel a person can become a more valuable resource. So supporting other team members and co-workers within the workplace, communicating effectively, being reliable and consistent, staying organized and working efficiently, building stronger knowledge in your specific team, industry, organization, wherever you are, and finally, being willing and open to learn new things. One of the ways a person can become a more valuable resource that I'm going to explain in a little more detail is the being reliable and consistent aspect. So a little explanation on this. Reliability means people can count on you to do what you say and you'll do what you do on time and done in a high standard. So consistency builds trust within the workplace. If you're able to meet deadlines on time, you're able to follow through on tasks and keep your word. Like if your boss is asking you to get certain things done on time and you say you will and then you do, that's how you're going to build trust within the workplace, and you'll build stronger relationships with your bosses and other coworkers. Once you start building this trust and the others around you can see that you're reliable and consistent, potentially your colleagues and supervisors will begin to start relying on you as a dependable team member, and they know that they can trust you and they know that you can get work done on time. And over time, you'll see that this reputation for reliability makes you one of the first people they will turn to if they need a big project done or if they need something done quickly and effectively. Or when something important needs to get done, because they know they can trust you to get it done. So for question 4, Based on the reading from the week of May 19th that was titled Getting an Internship in the Sports Industry, the Institutionalization of Privilege, we learned that privilege in the context of sport internships can refer to advantages that are not earned or benefits people get based on certain factors. And the reading showed that some of these factors can include economic status, social connections, age, and so on. This gives advantages for potential internships over people who do not have the same type of privilege within the industry. Here are some examples of what this can look like within the sport management industry. So, the reading states that a lot of sport internships nowadays are unpaid and require lots of hours within the organization. And some people or students may not be able to do that much unpaid labor as they need money and a paying job for other necessities in life. For example, if someone in university is looking for an internship and it's unpaid and it's 40 hours a week, they're doing all that work and they're not even getting paid, whereas they could be working a normal job on this for school and get paid and use the money for what they need for university. On the other side of this, people who come from richer and more wealthier families could afford to do these internships as they may not need the money, and their families can supply them with money throughout the school year if they wanted to do these unpaid internships, so they could work and still be fine financially. Another example is people who either have friends or family or maybe even school alumni who already work in the industry, which can help them secure internships a lot easier. Another example is a lot of the better internships are located in bigger market, more populated cities where the bigger professional sports teams are. So students who can afford to relocate and get an unpaid internship, yes, they can potentially take these opportunities. However, on the other side of it, students who cannot financially afford to move away and do an unpaid internship will miss out on all these opportunities. So from what we saw from the reading, unpaid internships have become a normalized practice, and more people are feeling that this is getting an internship is the only way into the industry, but it's just whether or not they can afford to do it and whether or not they have enough privilege to get an internship within the industry. So privilege is a barrier that a lot of non-privileged people must overcome within the sports industry. And finally, for question 5, from the week 6 lecture, we saw some of the ways of showing professionalism in the sport workplace. So from our guest speaker, she mentioned that including you have to tailor your resume and cover letter to fit what the company is looking for. You can think of questions to ask before the interview, like what do you enjoy most about your job? Because that kind of gives you a sense of what the current culture and dynamics already are within the workplace. You should also dress properly, potentially wearing a blazer or nicer clothes because you want to fit in and look nice. And it's important to not show up wearing some like sports jersey or something because that doesn't really look professional on yourself. It's also important to be polite, show interest, and use proper manners when your potential employer or boss is talking. You want to make it seem like you're interested and you're paying attention and asking questions to show that you're engaged with what they're saying. And there's also the social media side of being professional within the workplace. So you shouldn't be posting anything on your social media that you wouldn't want bosses or employers to see. And we also learned that communication is key. Be reliable and be on time, whether that be showing up to work on time, getting projects done on time, meeting deadlines. Another way of showing professionalism is taking feedback seriously. Show them that you are willing to learn and grow and you're willing to take their words and turn it into something better.